Hi everyone, I hope everyone's days are great, and today we'll be looking at a special favorite of mine for the festive season, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a whole commentary of the iconic animated television special from 1966. It's only 25 minutes long, and I just thought it was the most faithful to Dr. Seuss's original book, and it might be fun. But as I'm commenting, I won't just be reacting to what's going on. I will also try my best to analyze what's going on in terms of story structure and how the filmmakers or storytellers used certain scenes to convey their theme. Alrighty, without further ado, let's just dive into it and find out together. Man, it's been so many years since I've seen this. I would normally watch the Jim Carrey version, which is like a family tradition of mine. And I would hardly ever see the original 1966 version, but the reason why I decided to choose this one is because it's the closest to Dr. Seuss's original novel. I mean, they basically just took the novel and they just made that into the script, basically. And I just love how colorful everything looks. I mean, you can't go wrong with 2D animation. With 2D animation, there's like this sort of like a visceral, timeless quality that 3D animation just never really had. But don't get me wrong, I love 3D animation. I mean, who doesn't love Pixar? But I just feel like 2D animation has like this different quality to it. It's not really much of the fault of the animators. It's more so of what the medium can do. There are things that 2D animation can do that I don't think 3D can really achieve, and there are things that 3D animation can do that 2D can't really achieve. Yeah, and so they're basically just establishing the fact that the Whoville loves to celebrate Christmas, and they're just a very happy and joyous town. And now they're introducing us to the Grinch, who lives up in a mountain. And I just love the fact that how you have the Grinch living up in a mountain, and you have Whoville down there, and that in and of itself can be seen as like a visual representation over the fact that the Grinch is an outsider. He's a rebel. He doesn't believe in any of the things that Whoville believes in, and I just think that's a brilliant visual storytelling, even though it's also in the book. And I think this moment here, where the narrator is telling us that the Grinch has a small heart, this is a very key plot moment, I believe, because I believe that this is probably the reason why he doesn't like Christmas all that much. Because when you have a small heart, you can't really appreciate anything. And I just love how that's who the Grinch sort of represents. And it's a funny story too, because Dr. Seuss actually said the Grinch that the Grinch was actually based on himself, which I think is hilarious. And once again, like, the animation is just phenomenal here. I mean, it just those subtle movements that you just cannot like fathom. Like, you're just thinking to yourself, like, how do they achieve this in 1966, or maybe even earlier than that, 19 somewhere in the early 1960s, because this was back in the time when they didn't have computers. And it's just really amazing on what they could have, or what they achieved back then. This was all handmade. And the one thing that I really appreciate about this scene here, where the Grinch is basically going through a list of why he doesn't like Christmas so much, is because of the fact that the Who's are very noisy. I like how they, instead of just telling us this in like a monologue, it also shows us what's going on inside of the Grinch's head. And so we're kind of seeing his imagination. And once again, the designs here are so great. I mean, it's taken straight out of the original illustrations from the original book, which also makes it probably the most faithful adaptation to Dr. Seuss's original book. And the use of colors here are just, wow, like all the different shades of yellow and So it's not just the fact that the Who's are noisy, but it's also just like he just doesn't seem to like the fact that they're happy. Which once again, like as I said before, is that it seems to be suggesting to us that anybody who has a small heart just can't seem to appreciate anything that's good. So it's not just the fact that they're noisy. Um, it's also just the fact that he's just a grumpy guy. And all the joyful moments that the Who's have here is just completely alien to him. It's almost like he almost sees it as like a threat almost. So that's a detail that I didn't notice before. And he hates the fact that they're also singing. So, oh man, I haven't heard this version of the song, like when the Whovilles are singing their Christmas song as they're holding hands together in a circle around the big tree in the town. Because I grew up in the early 2000s, the Jim Carrey version was like sort of seen as like the definitive version for my generation because that was when it came out. And the one thing that animation is really good at is the fact that they really like push the emotions in a very exaggerated way. And that's really what animation is really all about. It's all about like exaggeration. And they're really pushing the Grinch's emotions here, whether if he's smiling, whether if he's has a frown face, or even like when he's like it's like even without the audio you can really tell that like what he's feeling. You as an animator, you that's what you normally would try to do. You want to push those emotions, in a way where it would look kind of silly if it was done in live action. Oh my goodness, the original song, "You're a Mean One." And again, it's been so many years since I've heard the original song. I just I just really appreciate um, just like how they were able to really push the emotions. I like how he just makes his dog the reindeer just because he can't find one. I mean, that was there even in the Jim Carrey version, and that's also there in the original book. But I just think that the whole concept alone is just pretty funny. Like he just has to have a reindeer, even though nobody's gonna really, uh, see him, or at least that's what he would hope. So the other thing that I want to mention here is also the voice acting. I think the voice acting for the Grinch is just also really great here. Like it really fits the character. And I just love how there's like they add in a lot of these like small comedic moments here and there. I just like how there's a little bit of this like Looney Tunes esque kind of slapstick comedy tropes going on here between Grinch and Max. So now they're sliding down, sliding down the mountain, and yeah, you can really see the Looney Tunes influence here. But this short was also directed by Chuck Jones, who I think was an animator for some of the Looney Tunes shorts. Don't quote me on this, I'm not too sure about that, but I do know that Chuck Jones is like a legendary figure in the animation industry. Like he's like right up there with a lot of these with Disney as well, as an animator, um, and like yeah, and I think I remember reading one time that Chuck Jones worked for Disney for a time before he left, and oh, you can kind of see this classic squash and stretch kind of technique going on in the animation, like when he pulls Max out from his body. Okay, so now they're at Whoville. As he's like crawling down the chimney and then gets stuck. Of course. Okay, so he's stealing the stockings now. So he's not just stealing the presents, he's stealing anything that has to do with Christmas and even just kindness as well, like love. Because if I remember correctly, he doesn't just steal. I mean, we're probably gonna see it when it comes up, but I think he also steals um, the food. Does he steal the food in this one? I think so. And he steals the ice. I think. I'm sure it'll come up. But, yeah, like he's now going through a montage right now where he's basically stealing everything, basically. I like how he's making quite a bit of noise, and yet the neighbors, or even like people who are sleeping inside the house, can't even hear it. Alrighty, so now he's stealing. He's gonna steal the candy canes from children as they're sleeping on the bed here. I mean, does he really have to steal the candy canes? Like, well, I mean, the title is called "How the Grinch Stole Christmas," so I guess he just has to steal anything that has to deal with Christmas. But why does he have to steal the food? Is really the question here. He takes the roast beast. Yep, he does take the food here. Who Hash. I never had Who Hash. I know that they sell them at Universal Studios, though. I've always wondered what it would taste like. Uh-oh, he got caught now by Cindy Lou. Dun dun dun. He's caught. He doesn't know what to say. He's like, uh-oh. Yeah, why are you taking their Christmas tree? I mean, is that even necessary? I mean, could you just like take their presents and just be done with it? Like, is it really necessary to take everything? So the fact that you have like a little girl who basically catches the Grinch stealing, I think this whole scene here is probably establishing the idea that even the innocence of a little girl can't stop the Grinch. Like nothing's gonna stop him from getting what he wants. And he also takes their log, which is, I mean, he doesn't just steal Christmas, he just steals everything. Which could be an important point as we try to figure out what the storytellers, Dr. Seuss especially, is trying to say. I mean, he also takes the crumbs too. I mean, so now he's stealing more stuff. So yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, and as I'm watching this, I think I think the story is trying to tell us that if anyone who has a small heart, not only you don't appreciate good things, but you also will try to steal anything that is good, anything that is joyous. Um, Perhaps it could be seen as like a cautionary tale for anyone who goes down that route of um, having hearts that are small, just like the Grinch. Because if you see here, he doesn't just take their presents or just things that are related to Christmas. He steals their light bulbs. He steals film reels. He steals flowers, and he steals the ice. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, why is he doing this? Why? I mean, he's not just taking things that are just related to Christmas. I think he's just taking everything, um, everything like in the house. That is, maybe except for the furnitures. Okay, so now he's completed his mission. He's going back up to the mountain. You know, I have to say, like the relationship that he has with Max, it's kind of sad if you think about it. The dog is treated as like, you know, a servant for the Grinch. But I can't deny that in many ways it's kind of funny. um, just how devious the Grinch can be, and I guess how heartless he can be. Like I really wish there was like some backstory of like how the Grinch met Max, because I don't think there's any other dogs that I found in Whoville. So I'm just kind of curious, like exactly how he was, um, or how he ended up with the Grinch, and where did he come from? Because I don't believe the Who's are humans, but Max is like the only element from our world. Okay, so now the Grinch is expecting to um, he's expecting that the Who's will be sad because he took everything, and okay, so are they going to be sad? Or are they going to be? What are they going to do? Okay, and they're happy. So this is the one of the major differences I think from the Jim Carrey version is that in the Jim Carrey version they're upset of the fact that the Grinch stole things, but in this one it seems clear that the Who's already understood the true meaning of Christmas, which is really about sharing love and sharing kindness more than the gifts that they receive, like material gifts. And again, I just love the use of colors here, just how everything just feels so warm, like the use of pink in the background. And now the Grinch is like, what the heck did I do wrong here? And I think this is quite significant because, like as we said, um, this could also be telling us that even if someone with a small heart could try to steal your joy, steal try to steal the love that you share to other people and the love that you have, it could be suggesting to us that they can't take that away from you unless you let them take that away from you. Because the Grinch tried to steal that, but it still came. As he says here, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. So he's just kind of like wondering, like, what, like, how did it? I just love the color transitions here. It goes from pink to orange, and I don't know if anyone noticed this here, but like the Grinch's eyes turn from red to blue here, and where he starts to realize that maybe Christmas isn't just about materialistic things. Now, obviously, like the message that we were always kind of led to believe um, is the fact that Christmas is more than just buying gifts, and that's totally correct. Um, but I just think that when it comes to this kind of story, I mean, because there's a reason why people like watch this annually during the festive season. I just think there's so many beautiful themes here that could be um, extracted from the more we study about this beautiful piece of story. So now he's trying to save all the presents now, and his heart grew 3 sizes. Oh wow! As a kid, I thought that if your heart grew, that you could lift anything, which is metaphorically true, by the way. But I think when I was a kid, I used to think that like physically, like literally. But I think it's also just spiritually true. Um, and he brings back all their presents and everything. And I really wonder if, because it's never really explained in the original story, and even in this short here, is I wonder like how the Who's view the Grinch in the original story, because it's not explained here. It's brilliantly explained in the Jim Carrey version, where we do see a little bit more of how the Who's see the Grinch. And just a really cool detail here. I just love how at the end we saw how. So in the beginning we saw how the Grinch was separated from the Who's. He lives up on a mountain all alone, signaling to us that he's an outsider. But then at the end he's with the Who's now. So I really like that reversal of the beginning and the end. Alrighty, guys, that was the Grinch. Woo! That was so entertaining. All right, so based on what we've seen so far, I think the story itself, I mean, we all know that it classically teaches the fact that Christmas is more than just consumerism, it's more than just commercialism, it's more than just materialism. But the more I think about it, I believe if we just follow what the Grinch does and who he is, what he does, and understanding the fact that he has a small heart and everything, I think the story itself could be suggesting to us in a very deep, profound way. And that's that anyone who has a small heart will not only not appreciate love and joy, but they will try to perhaps steal that love and joy. But that's also a downfall because you can't steal love and joy. Love is very internal. And, that is, of course, unless you actually let someone take that away from you. But I believe love is so internal that even if they try to take that away, it's not quite possible. But yeah, I mean that's the way I felt as I was watching this special, and it's honestly such a great masterpiece that just continues to entertain, even though it came out in 1966, and it still needs to be studied even to this very day. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys had a great time. And if you guys had other opinions and other thoughts, please let me know in the comments sections down below. And if you like this content and you want to see more of them, please hit the subscribe button. Merry Christmas, everyone.